Facing reality is what we need to do. If we don't face reality, we'll never fix it. I ran a multi-million-dollar company, and I know that we had problems at times, and we had great things at times. If I ignored the problems, we would have never succeeded. If someone has a small pain on his right side, and he ignores it, and it doesn't go away, he should take care of it. If he doesn't take care of it, he turns into something bigger. But by the time he decides to deal with it, it's so big that it becomes bigger than him. It can become a systemic problem. So when we run out of the room after making our voices heard and wasting everybody's time, without actually dealing with the problem and just calling the problem negative. Yeah, of course it's negative. If you want another shiur about etrogim, or another shiur about some alachot for sukkah, or you want some shiur about some neutral subject like a shlom bayit, you have plenty of other classes to go to. I'm here to give a reality check. I'm here to address the problem. The problem is that we're not facing the problem. That's the problem. The problem is that we're running away from the problem. We want to go to neutral classes that talk about positive mindsets. And if I think okay, it's going to be okay. If I think good, it'll be good. What about the fact that you drive on Shabbat and you desecrate Hashem's name on a regular basis? That doesn't matter? You just think good? If I think my marriage is going to be okay, it's going to be okay. What about the fact that you cheat on her every Tuesday with your girlfriend? That doesn't matter? You should ignore that? If I think, okay, I'm eventually going to lose weight. So the fact that you eat burgers every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that's not going to affect your weight? It's mysteriously going to disappear? We have to address problems. That's what the Torah is for. Torah is not to give us some unusual enlightenment that puts us in a different world where there's no problems there. The Torah is an instruction set of how to deal and manage problems, including the ones I mentioned today. And the reason why I started with such a negative subject is to get that type of attention, is to get somebody to become uncomfortable. Because the only way you're going to get yourself off the chair to deal with the problem is if you're uncomfortable. But if I gave you all sofas and beds, you all fall asleep. Because no one thinks it's a problem that there's people that think the Rabbi is God, or that the Christians believe that some idiot that died on a cross is God, and that 7 billion people think that somebody is God and not God. The fact that we're ignoring the problem is the problem. The fact that we want to hear nice things. No, I'm here to learn Shiur Torah. What kind of Torah do you learn? What kind of Torah do you learn? Let me tell you the Torah I learned. Yeshua ben Parchia, do you know who he was? He was Jesus' rabbi. That's who he was. Did anybody know that? Do you know why he said this Mishnah? Do you know why Yeshua ben Parchia actually said this specific Mishnah? The 6th Mishnah in the entire Mishnah. 6th one, which means level of importance, level of closeness to Mount Sinai. Because of the issue that happened with Jesus. That's why he said it. This whole Mishnah is about what happened with Jesus. And we need to know what happened. Because number one, there's plenty of missionaries that are taking advantage of naive individuals that have no clue of what's right and what's left. And they're leaving pure Judaism and Torah and going to desecrating Hashem's name and going to Christianity and other types of idol worship. Or we have very nice people that have no clue what the truth is. Some priest told them, listen, come here, there's a weird guy that makes everybody healthy, but actually really work. You just have to keep the money every month. And maybe one day it's going to work. Well, just make sure you use the chemo, because that can help. And they make all these weird things, and they make people do weird things, and they fill up football fields full of people, 50, 100, 250,000 poor people, to give this one guy that's a very clever speaker an audience, and then a jet, a $50 or $60 million jet, because he's a good speaker. And he's speaking about idol worship. And the fact that we ignore it and we let them do it, when we are commanded by the Torah to be a light to the nations, is a poor job by us. But even if we ignore the goyim, even if we say, listen, let them deal with their own problems, we're not necessarily obligated to go convert everyone. Fine. There's some sages that you could rely on for that. Fine. What about the Jews? What about the Jews that are idol worshiping? What about the Jews that are worshiping their own rabbi and going against his own Torah? What about the ones that said that Rabbi Nachman from Breslev said go to his gravesite on Rosh Hashanah, but then they add, which he did say that, you should go, but they added something, under all costs. And that's why you see people completely leaving their marriage, creating shlom bayit problems, leaving their kids, leaving their wife. The only time of the year they actually have together is during this holiday time. The wife doesn't want them to go. The kids don't want them to go. It's finally they saw their dad the first time in the year because he works 900 hours a day. And no, he's not going to be with them. He's going to go in a gravesite with 30,000 other people. Now, if your wife agrees to it, and she's okay with it, and the whole house is cheerful about it, Chazaku Baruch, go to a gravesite, pray for me too. I need some prayers. But if your gravesite praying is going to create shlom bayit problems, then you have a mental issue. You're going against the Torah that Rabbi Nachman actually taught. He didn't tell you to create shlom bayit problems. Do you know what shlom bayit is? We learned it from this week's parasha. This week's parasha, Parashat Lech Lecha. God was willing to erase his own name for the sake of shlom bayit. Erase his own name. That's why in the whole issue of sotah, when there's a wayward woman that's suspected of cheating on her husband, Hashem says the cure to know whether she's cheating or not, because in those days there's no private investigators, you take my name, you write it on a scroll, you put it into the holy water, the same water that the Kohanim used to wash their hands and their feet before they would do the work of the Bet HaMikdash. You put it into that water where the ink would come out of the scroll, and then the woman would drink the water. If she cheated on her husband, she would blow up and die instantly. If she didn't, she would get the blessing of the Kohen HaGadol, which is the holiest man of the land. If she had trouble giving birth, she would be able to give birth. If she was giving birth to ugly kids, the kids will be beautiful. Different magical, mystical, amazing things directly from Hashem, but it's through a process that's in essence a sin. We are erasing Hashem's name. You're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. It's one of the commandments. You can't do it. You're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. Hashem says, no. You are allowed to erase my name because by erasing my name for this manner only, you'll create shlom bayit. The husband is either going to know that his wife is righteous and he's wrong, or he's going to know that she cheated on him, and obviously he's not allowed to be with her anymore. And she gets punished for it. But for shlom bayit, you're allowed to erase a God's name. So do you think that Rabbi Nachman didn't know this? You think I know anything that he didn't know? You think Rabbi Nachman said, hey listen, come to my grave and pray, and doesn't matter if it creates shlom bayit problems? What crazy person thinks that? Go ask Rabbi Arush, tzaddik that he is. Read his book. Ask Rabbi Lezer Brody, giant chacham, giant tzaddik, the protege of Rabbi Arush. Go ask him. Ask him what he thinks. Does he have shlom bayit problems when he goes to the grave? No, because his wife is on the same page as him. They go, they're excited, they go. But if you have shlom bayit problems because of it, if you're putting your whole life at risk for it, obviously you're not supposed to do it. So the whole issue here is not the rabbis. The whole issue here is the students not listening to the rabbis. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Pachia is telling us here, Aseh lecha rav, make yourself a teacher. Make yourself a rabbi. Meaning, you can't buy a rabbi. Like he said, Knei lecha chaver, acquire yourself a friend. Because if you buy a rabbi, then he's no longer your rabbi. He's your employee. The Chida, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, said that the Torah declared bankruptcy the minute that rich people started giving money to rabbis, because they were no longer rabbis. As soon as rabbis started accepting huge sums of money from people, they were no longer able to rebuke them. Because if I rebuke you, knowing that you're going to give me $1 million each year to fund my Bet Knesset, to fund my this, to fund my that, I'm going to think twice before I do it. Wait a minute, if I tell them, listen, you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat, by the way, they're going to say, okay, I'm not allowed to drive on Shabbat, okay, so I'm not allowed to give tzedakah either. Hey, by the way, your wife, can you please tell her to put some clothes on? Oh, okay, I'll tell her to put clothes on for somewhere else, for a different Knesset. I'm not going to come anymore. The rabbi I want, the rabbi I'm going to give $1 million to, is the rabbi is going to do whatever I want. He's going to change the Torah for me. That's not a rabbi, my friend. That's not a rabbi.